It's hard to believe that something so enormous is in the water around Florida and we don't even know it.
Or water conditions, rather. There are warnings.
Florida's pristine beaches are famous worldwide. But beneath the sparkling surface, something alarming has been stirring in the depths. Imagine giant sinkholes suddenly opening underwater, glowing coral reefs flashing distress signals, and mysterious giant creatures lurking unseen. This is not science fiction, but a chilling reality happening right now off Florida's coast. Every month, new underwater anomalies emerge, threatening marine life, coastal communities, and even millions of tourists. The hidden forces reshaping Florida's seafloor could change everything we know about ocean safety and climate risks. Sudden underwater sinkholes emerging. Off the coast of Florida, scientists have recently detected something deeply unsettling forming beneath the ocean's surface. Giant sinkholes, often referred to as blue hole sinkholes, have been appearing suddenly on the seafloor near the Florida Straits. Some of these depressions are enormous, over 300 feet wide and plunging deeper than a 30-story building. What makes them especially alarming is that they are not ancient, stable formations, but active voids opening in areas once believed to be geologically steady. These sinkholes do not remain still once they form. Sonar imaging reveals swirling sediment plumes, collapsing edges, and turbulent underwater flows that suggest powerful forces are actively reshaping the seabed. Water chemistry readings taken inside and around the formations show abrupt changes in salinity, oxygen levels, and mineral content, indicating complex underground interactions. Drone footage also suggests that some sinkholes may not be isolated at all. Instead, they could be connected through hidden subterranean channels, forming an interconnected network of collapsing cavities beneath the seafloor. This possibility has raised serious concern among marine geologists, as it suggests a larger structural system may be destabilizing rather than individual sinkholes forming independently. If true, the region could be undergoing a slow, widespread breakdown occurring out of sight beneath the ocean. Even more troubling is the location of several of these sinkholes. Some lie within close range of major shipping routes and delicate coral reef ecosystems. One particularly large formation has been mapped less than 25 miles from Key West, an area heavily traveled by cruise ships, cargo vessels, and fishing boats. This proximity raises both environmental and navigational risks, as sudden collapses or shifting currents could disrupt marine traffic or damage sensitive habitats, coral reefs, and underwater communication cables. Despite the growing frequency of these discoveries, scientists are still uncertain about what triggers the sinkholes. One theory suggests that ancient freshwater aquifers buried beneath the seabed are collapsing due to changes in pressure caused by rising sea levels. Another hypothesis points to methane gas venting from deep underground, slowly weakening sediment layers and creating unstable voids that eventually cave in. However, no single explanation has yet been confirmed. The potential consequences are significant. Expanding sinkholes could damage marine ecosystems, disrupt fisheries, and weaken Florida's already vulnerable coastline. Coastal erosion could accelerate if the underlying seabed continues to fracture, increasing the region's exposure to storms and sea level rise. In response, local authorities have taken precautionary measures, including temporary beach closures in affected areas and increased monitoring of offshore zones. To better understand the phenomenon, researchers are deploying deep-sea monitoring equipment designed to track pressure changes, sediment movement, and gas activity in real time. These sensors are intended to provide early warning signs of sudden collapses, though predicting underwater sinkhole formation remains extremely difficult. As investigations continue, one thing is clear: Florida's seafloor is far more dynamic than previously believed. The growing presence of blue hole sinkholes suggests a hidden geological process unfolding beneath the waves, one that could reshape how scientists understand coastal stability. What appears calm on the surface may, in fact, be a landscape slowly giving way below, with consequences that could ripple far beyond Florida's shores. Beneath this unsettling phenomenon lies another troubling sign: the coral reefs glowing with a haunting light that speaks to their distress. coral reefs' haunting fluorescent bleaching. Off Florida's southern tip, the coral reefs are displaying an eerie glow that is as beautiful as it is ominous. Marine biologists have observed large sections of reef lighting up in blues, purples, and greens, but this dazzling display is far from a celebration of health. Instead, scientists warn it's a desperate emergency signal known as fluorescent bleaching. This phenomenon occurs when coral gets severely stressed, most often due to extreme heat. In a last-ditch effort to survive, the coral releases fluorescent proteins, creating the ghostly glow. The year 2025 saw record-breaking sea surface temperatures around Florida, which triggered a stunning spike in this reaction. Sections of reef near the Florida Keys now stretch over 100 meters with this glowing, silent scream. The emergency glow spreads with dangerous speed, which makes the situation more dangerous. Satellite images show that the areas which now light up have increased their size by 2 times during the past 2 years. The local fish and invertebrate populations continue to decline, while the coral reefs experience increased rates of mortality. Some regions have even been officially declared ecological disaster zones. The loss of these coral reefs has much wider consequences than many people understand. The reefs of Florida create annual revenues exceeding $8 billion through their tourism and fishing and diving activities. The reef system faces danger of collapse, which will reduce its ability to protect coastal areas from storm surges, while it will disrupt the local seafood supply chain, which supports both regional businesses and community diets. The reef ecosystem declines with consequences that extend beyond its maritime boundaries. Scientists are currently working to develop methods for reef preservation. Researchers test new methods which involve assisted coral reproduction and the installation of underwater shades, which cool protected areas. The weather changes, which cause ocean temperatures to rise, create problems for coral survival because they increase the difficulties which coral must overcome to survive. The fluorescent glow creates a terrifying warning about Florida, while it shows the ongoing marine emergency which exists throughout the world. The future of coral reefs represents the present condition of ocean health, which will determine the entire ecosystem status of marine environments around the planet. While the reefs flash their distress, something equally extraordinary but rooted in the deep past has been uncovered beneath the Gulf waters, a shadow of ancient human presence lost to rising seas. Ancient submerged ruins discovered. Hidden beneath the Gulf waters near Apalachicola Bay, researchers have uncovered a remarkable series of symmetrical stone formations that may reshape understanding of early human history along Florida's coast. Using advanced sonar imaging and underwater drones, scientists identified structures resembling roads, walls, terraces, and ceremonial platforms arranged in striking geometric patterns. Some formations even appear as concentric rings similar to Native American mound-building sites found throughout the southeastern United States. Preliminary carbon dating of nearby organic material suggests parts of the site may be more than 10,000 years old, dating back to the end of the last ice age. At that time, sea levels were dramatically lower, and Florida's coastline stretched much farther into what is now the Gulf of Mexico. Researchers believe these formations may once have stood on dry land before melting glaciers and rising oceans gradually submerged the area. If the structures are confirmed to be human-made, they could point to an advanced coastal settlement or ceremonial center belonging to a previously unknown culture that existed thousands of years before recorded history in North America. Some archaeologists believe the site could be linked to Paleo-Indian migration routes used by some of the earliest inhabitants of the Americas. Others speculate the settlement may represent a sophisticated coastal society adapted to marine environments long before large civilizations developed elsewhere on the continent. The discovery has drawn comparisons to the mysterious Bimini Road near the Bahamas, fueling speculation about lost civilizations and even Atlantis-like legends. Scientists, however, remain cautious, emphasizing that extensive testing and verification are still required before drawing conclusions. To investigate further, research teams are deploying high-definition mapping systems, sediment analysis equipment, and remotely operated underwater vehicles to document the site in detail. Early expeditions have reportedly recovered chiseled limestone blocks, pottery fragments, and bone remains embedded within coral and marine sediment. These discoveries strengthen the possibility that the structures were intentionally constructed rather than naturally formed geological features. If verified as an ancient settlement, the ruins could significantly alter current understanding of early societies in North America. They would also serve as a powerful reminder of how climate change and rising seas have repeatedly transformed human landscapes throughout history. Entire communities may have been displaced or erased as shorelines shifted over thousands of years. Today, as modern coastal regions face increasing threats from sea level rise, the submerged formations near Apalachicola Bay offer an eerie parallel between the ancient past and the uncertain future. Beneath the Gulf waters may lie evidence of forgotten people whose world disappeared beneath the ocean, a reminder that civilizations, no matter how advanced, remain vulnerable to the changing forces of nature. From mysterious geological collapse to ecological alarms and lost ancient worlds, the ocean off Florida continues to reveal secrets. Its depths hold even stranger sounds and unseen threats that keep scientists on edge as they listen closely to what lies beneath. Unexplained deep-sea rhythmic sounds. Far below Florida's continental shelf, beneath hundreds of meters of ocean water, something mysterious has been pulsing steadily for months. Scientists have been capturing an unusual deep-sea sound that repeats every 4 seconds, day and night, earning it the nickname the drumbeat. Unlike natural whale songs or seismic tremors, this rhythmic pulse is mechanical and precise, baffling researchers who have yet to uncover its exact origin. Seismographs and sonar scans have eliminated common suspects like earthquakes, undersea mining, submarines, or volcanic activity. Marine biologists have also ruled out biological sources. Whale songs or other marine animals don't fit the pattern. The sheer consistency and repetitiveness suggest an underground process operating like clockwork. Some experts hypothesize that massive underground fluids, methane or brine layers, are shifting within pressurized subterranean caverns, producing this persistent sonic signature. The sound is not static. Sonar data indicates it is slowly moving northward toward the continental shelf. As it advances, micro-vibrations in the surrounding seabed increase, raising concerns that these pulses may signal a larger geological event on the horizon. Could this low rumble be a forewarning of an underwater landslide, a seismic event, or something even more exotic, like cavitation happening in vast underwater gas chambers? Research teams utilize deep-sea vessels to track sound waves, which they record through hydrophones while their AI systems perform pattern analysis. The ocean secret maintains its hidden state after months of observation because it contains information about a geophysical process that scientists have yet to discover in the waters of Florida. The discovery becomes disturbing because we currently possess limited knowledge about the secret operations happening beneath the seafloor. The subterranean environment shows this drumbeat, which indicates a slow evolution of terrifying changes that will affect the stability of Florida's coastal ecosystems and infrastructure. Scientists pursue signals which create tension because they cannot fully understand the unknown element that causes sudden sinkholes. The oceans maintain their position as a vast unknown territory which contains both uncharted human knowledge and hidden natural resources. The ocean floor experiences continuous transformation, which occurs because an invisible force maintains its rhythmical motion. The sound connects to various unsettling discoveries because it links to both methane venting and deep-sea collapses, which demonstrate how geological forces interact according to scientists. The mystery deepens with another explosive phenomenon making waves just beyond the Florida Panhandle: methane bubbles rising from beneath the sea floor. Methane plumes bubbling from seafloor. East of the Florida Panhandle, marine researchers aboard a National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration expedition uncovered a discovery that has intensified concern about dramatic changes occurring beneath the seafloor. Using advanced sonar imaging, deep-sea mapping equipment, and remotely operated underwater vehicles, scientists identified more than 50 active methane seep sites releasing continuous streams of gas from deep below the ocean floor.
Scientists have been testing the hypothesis that perhaps gas in the ocean could contribute to some of the mysterious things that we find happening.
Some methane plumes stretched nearly 800 feet upward through the water column, forming towering columns of bubbles that rose silently through the dark ocean depths. The methane seeps were discovered near ancient geological fault systems and surprisingly close to areas where underwater blue hole sinkholes and seafloor collapses have recently appeared. Researchers now believe these events may be connected parts of a much larger geological process unfolding beneath Florida's offshore waters. What once seemed like isolated underwater anomalies are increasingly being viewed as warning signs of widespread instability hidden beneath the seabed. Most methane beneath the ocean floor exists in the form of methane hydrate, a frozen, ice-like substance created when methane gas becomes trapped under high pressure and low temperatures. These hydrate deposits can remain stable for thousands of years beneath layers of sediment. However, scientists suspect that warming ocean temperatures, shifting currents, and tectonic stress are now destabilizing these frozen reservoirs. As the hydrates weaken or fracture, methane escapes upward through cracks in the seabed, producing the bubbling plumes researchers are now documenting offshore. The release of methane creates more than just environmental concern. When gas escapes from deep sediments, it leaves behind weakened layers and empty spaces beneath the sea floor. Over time, these voids can contribute to sediment collapse, sinkhole formation, and even underwater landslides. Researchers warn that methane activity may help explain the growing instability detected along sections of Florida's continental shelf and underwater cave systems. Some scientists believe these hidden geological shifts could continue expanding if warming ocean conditions persist. Methane itself presents another major concern because it is one of the most powerful greenhouse gases in Earth's atmosphere. Over short periods, methane traps far more heat than carbon dioxide, making sudden releases especially dangerous for climate stability. Although much of the methane released underwater dissolves before reaching the atmosphere, large or sustained releases can still alter ocean chemistry, reduce oxygen levels, and intensify long-term warming trends. Scientists are carefully studying whether the methane seeps off Florida could eventually contribute to broader environmental changes beyond the region itself. The discoveries near Florida are part of a growing global pattern. Similar methane releases have been documented in Arctic waters and other continental shelf regions where warming oceans are destabilizing ancient hydrate deposits. Yet many researchers previously assumed subtropical areas like Florida were less vulnerable to rapid methane disruption. The scale of the newly mapped plumes has challenged those assumptions, revealing that warmer coastal regions may face serious geological and environmental risks as well. Beyond climate impacts, the methane seeps may threaten marine ecosystems and offshore infrastructure. Weakening sediments beneath the ocean floor could destabilize pipelines, underwater communication cables, drilling structures, and shipping routes. Nearby fish populations and coral communities may also suffer as methane alters oxygen levels and water chemistry in surrounding habitats. Some researchers worry repeated seep activity could permanently reshape parts of the seafloor over time. To better understand the phenomenon, scientists have deployed underwater monitoring systems equipped with acoustic sensors, temperature gauges, and pressure instruments designed to track methane activity in real time. Remotely operated vehicles continue exploring the seep fields while collecting sediment samples and measuring hydrate stability beneath the seabed. Researchers hope this data will reveal whether the methane releases are accelerating and how closely they are linked to expanding sinkholes and underwater collapses nearby. The discoveries unfolding beneath Florida's coastal waters are reshaping scientific understanding of the region's geology. The seafloor, once considered relatively stable, is now revealing signs of dynamic transformation driven by ocean warming, underground gas deposits, tectonic stress, and sediment instability. As investigations continue, Florida's underwater environment has become one of the most closely watched marine regions in the country. The bubbling methane plumes, shifting sediments, and expanding sinkholes together paint a picture of an ocean floor in transition, one whose hidden changes may eventually affect ecosystems, coastlines, and communities far beyond the sea itself. From invisible underground pulses to gas bubbles rising in silent columns, the layers beneath Florida's waves tell a story of a seafloor on the edge, one scientists are only just beginning to unravel. Unknown apex predator captured on camera. In April 2025, a deep-sea research mission near the dry Tortugas captured footage that stunned marine scientists worldwide. An autonomous underwater drone exploring one of Florida's mysterious blue hole sinkholes recorded images of a massive, unidentified marine creature moving through the darkness far below the ocean surface. Researchers estimated the animal to be more than 20 feet long, with a muscular body that glided silently through the underwater cavern. Unlike known sharks, squid, or eels, the creature moved with eerie fluidity, navigating the vertical sinkhole with ease, despite crushing pressure and near-total darkness. The footage revealed several unusual details. Faint flashes of bluish bioluminescence pulsed along the creature's body, creating ghostly streaks in the water. Scientists also noted the apparent absence of visible fins, external gills, or clearly defined eyes, suggesting the animal may be specially adapted for life in dark underwater caves where vision is nearly useless. The blue hole where the footage was captured is part of a network of submerged sinkholes scattered across Florida's coastal waters and the Gulf region. These formations, created when limestone caves collapse and flood with seawater, can extend hundreds of feet below the ocean floor. Many remain poorly explored because of dangerous conditions, toxic water layers, and limited visibility. The divers and fishermen have described unusual events which occur near blue holes, including Green Banana and Amberjack Hole, for more than 40 years. The unusual sonar results, which showed fish vanishing and shadowy creatures resembling eels, were treated as folklore by many people. The researchers have now discovered their first evidence of a large unidentified species which exists in these underwater ecosystems, according to this video footage. Scientists now believe that Florida's blue holes function as separate ecosystems which have remained undetected by ocean waters for thousands of years. Scientists who study deep-water caves have found a new creature, which they believe to be an undiscovered apex predator that exists in extreme underwater environments. Some people believe that the creature belongs to an ancient sea species which developed in separate underwater environments. The discovery has drawn global scientific attention, as it confirms that researchers must reconsider their current understanding of biodiversity patterns in coastal water species. In response, scientists are planning new field studies that will use advanced sonar systems, environmental DNA analysis, and robotic drones. These methods aim to detect and collect genetic material from the organism more accurately, helping to build a clearer picture of marine life distribution and improve knowledge of complex underwater ecosystems. The scientists who study these delicate underwater environments warn that they face immediate danger from methane emissions and sediment violations and environmental contamination, which occur before complete research on these areas. The footage serves as a reminder for researchers that most of Earth's ocean territory remains uncharted, particularly in Florida, where many people live near the coast. From elusive giant creatures to vast geological shifts, Florida's underwater world is both fascinating and fraught with hidden dangers. As intriguing as these discoveries are, the very ground beneath the ocean's surface is also shifting, threatening to unleash forces that could impact the coastline itself. Shifting continental shelf and landslide risks. Recent measurements gathered through satellite altimetry, underwater sonar mapping, and seabed pressure sensors have revealed a troubling trend beneath Florida's coastal waters. Parts of the continental shelf appear to be slowly sinking and shifting. Scientists studying areas near the Miami Terrace and the Florida Escarpment have detected gradual downward movement occurring at only centimeters per year, but researchers warn the long-term consequences could become serious if instability increases. The continental shelf is a vast underwater platform made of sediments, marine habitats, and geological layers built up over thousands of years. Scientists believe some of these sediment layers are weakening due to ocean currents, groundwater movement, methane seepage, and subtle tectonic stress. Although the changes are slow and mostly invisible from the surface, concern centers on the possibility of sudden collapse. Researchers warn that these weakening sediments could trigger submarine landslides, also known as underwater slumps. Such events occur when large sections of seabed suddenly break loose and slide downslope, displacing massive amounts of water. Computer simulations suggest that a major collapse off Florida's coast could generate tsunami-like waves between 5 and 15 feet high, potentially reaching nearby shorelines within minutes. Because much of Florida's population lives close to sea level, even moderate waves could cause severe flooding, infrastructure damage, and dangerous evacuation challenges. Unlike hurricanes, which often provide days of warning, waves triggered by underwater slides could strike with little notice. Scientists point to past underwater collapses along the Atlantic margin as proof that these risks are real. One example is the ancient Cape Fear slide near the Carolinas, where enormous sections of seabed collapsed and permanently reshaped the ocean floor. Florida's offshore slopes have historically received less scientific study, but new mapping technologies suggest the region may be more geologically active than previously believed. The threat is further complicated by methane venting and expanding sinkhole systems beneath the seafloor. Methane gas trapped underground can weaken sediments by increasing internal pressure, while dissolving limestone creates hidden voids beneath the seabed. Researchers fear these combined forces could increase the likelihood of submarine landslides. To better monitor the danger, scientists are developing early warning systems using acoustic sensors, seafloor pressure gauges, and underwater motion detectors. However, predicting exactly when or where a collapse might occur remains extremely difficult. Sea level rise, land subsidence, and continued coastal development may worsen these risks over time. Rising seas place additional stress on sediments, while expanding tourism and infrastructure increase the number of people and structures vulnerable to flooding. Researchers emphasize that Florida's underwater geology is far more dynamic than once believed. Beneath the state's beaches lies a shifting system shaped by erosion, methane activity, ocean chemistry, and geological stress. As scientists continue studying the ocean floor, the slow movement of the continental shelf serves as a reminder that hidden changes beneath the waves could one day have major consequences for both marine ecosystems and coastal communities. The ocean's secrets stretch from unseen predators to the shifting ground beneath the sand, reminding us that Florida's coastal safety depends as much on what lies underwater as what's visible on shore. Expanding toxic brine pools. In 2025, marine researchers conducting a deep-sea expedition near Dato Canyon uncovered a disturbing phenomenon hidden beneath the Atlantic waters, expanding toxic death lakes resting along the ocean floor.
These eruptions also release a super salty liquid, brine. It's difficult to make sense of the sight.
These underwater brine pools are composed of extremely salty water mixed with dangerous gases such as hydrogen sulfide and methane. Because the water inside the pools is far denser than the surrounding seawater, it settles into deep depressions on the seabed, forming eerie underwater lakes that appear almost motionless. Although visually fascinating, these environments are incredibly hostile. They contain almost no oxygen, making them deadly to nearly all marine organisms that enter. Scientists observing the pools through remotely operated underwater vehicles recorded chilling footage of fish and crustaceans accidentally swimming into the toxic brine. Within moments, the animals became disoriented, lost mobility, and drifted lifeless into the pools. The suddenness of these deaths highlighted just how lethal the chemical conditions are. Researchers explained that hydrogen sulfide interferes with cellular respiration, essentially suffocating marine life even while submerged in water. The surrounding edges of the pools were littered with dead organisms, creating stark evidence of the destruction occurring below the surface. What has alarmed scientists most is the rapid expansion of these brine pools. Rather than remaining isolated pockets, many are beginning to merge into larger interconnected systems stretching across sections of the seafloor. As they expand, they consume nearby habitats that once supported fish, coral, shellfish, and microorganisms essential to the marine food chain. This spreading toxicity threatens biodiversity throughout the region, and raises concerns about long-term damage to fragile underwater ecosystems off Florida's coast. The researchers think that the pools emerged from ancient salt deposits, which got buried underground when they formed during the Earth's history. Salt undergoes dissolution, which leads to its movement into nearby groundwater and its subsequent upward movement through cracks and fractures in sedimentary layers. The ocean floor geological processes create conditions which enable underwater sinkholes to collect dense brine from their surrounding area. Scientists suspect that hidden underground channels may now be connecting these pools, which helps them spread farther than previously expected. Another major concern involves methane trapped inside the brine lakes. Methane functions as a highly powerful greenhouse gas, which creates stronger warming effects on the atmosphere than carbon dioxide does during short time periods. The dense pools contain most of the gas, but pressure and temperature changes with underwater disturbances will cause substantial gas emissions into both the ocean and atmosphere. Ocean chemistry will suffer permanent changes because researchers warn that these releases will lead to chemical changes, which will decrease oxygen levels and create dangerous climate change patterns. The discovery creates challenging situations which require determination of whether human activities are making environmental conditions worse. Scientists are currently investigating to determine whether offshore drilling operations, along with seismic exploration work and other industrial activities, actually speed up underground fractures, which permit increased brine and gas escape. Researchers emphasize that understanding these factors is essential for preventing additional environmental harm, even though researchers have not yet found any direct links to confirm. The development of dead zones within these water bodies not only threatens marine life directly, but also poses economic risks to Florida's coastal industries and its fishing activities. The alterations in fish migration routes, together with the deterioration of coral reefs and the destruction of breeding habitats, will ultimately affect the fishing industry and the tourism sector, which rely on untouched marine ecosystems. The already disrupted coral reefs must deal with two destructive elements because rising temperatures and pollution will introduce additional harmful substances into the ecosystem through toxic brine dispersal and methane gas emissions, which create oxygen shortages. The scientists are currently working to establish the complete boundaries of the underwater lakes while tracking their expansion rate. The research team employs advanced sonar technology together with underwater drones and chemical sampling methods to investigate the geological and chemical factors that create the observed phenomenon. The researchers demonstrate that Florida's ocean floor behaves as an unstable system which scientists must study because geology and chemistry and ocean currents create ongoing dynamic transformations in the environment. The discovery of these expanding toxic brine pools serves as another reminder that major environmental changes are occurring beneath the ocean's surface, often unnoticed until ecosystems begin to collapse. The underwater death lakes create both a scientific puzzle and an environmental danger which core threats the delicate ecosystem that supports Florida's coastal marine life. Florida's waters are revealing mysteries that blend wonder with warning, from collapsing sinkholes to glowing reefs, lost ruins, and lethal brine pools. These discoveries remind us the ocean is alive with unseen forces shaping both nature and human safety. If you found this dive into Florida's underwater secrets as gripping as we did, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more astonishing Earth stories.